Well, let's hear Steve Doocy talk about the Trump and Biden immigration thing. This is the other part of the Republican sort of memo about what they're going to do is compare Trump's immigration policies with Biden's crisis.
And Ainsley, to Ainsley's earlier point about the coronavirus out of Barrasso, what is interesting about that is the fact that they do not test the people coming into the government facilities. They only test them when they leave the government facilities if they're going to another government facility, so they know which side of the auditorium to put the people in, which when you look at the numbers, it clearly has become a super spreader event down at those particular detention centers. And the thing about the hypocrisy regarding what's going on right now is, remember all the people a couple of years ago who were talking about the same facilities with the chain link enclosures? They were referring to Trump's concentration camps. And now those people are oddly quiet. But it is much worse now because it is all happening during a pandemic. And if the number one goal of this administration truly is to stop the flow of coronavirus and to stop the spread and to get us back to good health, this is a lousy way to do it by letting, as John Barrasso just said, these people who are infected just scatter throughout the country.
Nothing he said was even consistent in his own talking. I mean, the fact is, all these folks are tested. If you cross the border now, legally, you are not tested. Period. End of story. And
you are not positive.
You are not tested.
You're not if you cross the border legally?
If you cross the border legally,
okay.
you don't get tested. All these folks are tested at one juncture or another.
I get what you're saying.
The rate of infection amongst these people is lower than it is in Texas. So if you were to release all these folks, you would reduce the percentage of COVID infection in Texas. These cages are an abomination. These facilities are an abomination. The Biden administration needs to get rid of them. They need to bulk up this thing. I think there is some legitimacy to the argument that you have degraded the system so much that it will take time for the Biden administration to catch up on this. There is a difference between what the Trump administration did with unaccompanied minors than the Biden administration, because these kids are legitimately unaccompanied minors, as opposed to kids who cross the border with their family and then are taken from them.
As opposed to an official kidnapping policy.
Exactly. Also, these kids are not being dispersed throughout the country just randomly in the way that this happened with those kids who were taken from the parents. Now, there needs to be more resources and put in there, and they need to basically they need to figure out how to process them quicker. That's basically it.
But there's also just an easy solution. I mean, I say that in the defense of, they don't have a specific child kidnapping policy, but as we discussed last week on the show, Title 42. The reason that this is even an issue is because Biden still has Title 42 in place alongside the border, except he put an exemption in for kids, so kids are being sent by themselves, which is creating the kids in cages situation. And he's also not abolishing ICE, but he's never going to do that.
But that's an optics thing, because, it's obviously because you would then just have families in cages. The problem is if you get rid of, and I think they should get rid of Title 42, but you need to put more resources to processing people.
It's an optics thing. The children are separated.
Well, yes, the children are separated, but it is the parents are making a decision. So get the kids processed, get them out. You still got to process people one way or another, and presumably these children have relatives. They have people that they could go to. When the parents cross the border with the kids, it is more likely that that family does not necessarily have someone who could be a sponsor for the kid. If the parents are saying to the kid, cross the border, and you can go with your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, your mother, your father, who are living wherever it is that they're living, at least they know there's a sponsor. You need to process them. If you get rid of Title 42 across the board, which they should do, it's illegal. It's illegal based on our laws, and it's illegal based on international law. You still have that same problem of you need to put more resources down there to process people, or you're going to be warehousing them. That's the problem. The problem is there's not the resources to provide, to get these people out to where they need. They need to be moved over into Health and Human Services. That sort of like part of the pipeline quicker. But
well, it needs to be treated as an administrative issue as opposed to an incarceration issue.
yeah,
And the Biden administration is not big thinking enough. They don't see the world from a more holistic perspective, and they still don't understand that, and they're worried about messaging from the right. I mean, talk about worried about messaging.
yep.